Best of r/Choosing Beggars episode 39. So my dad works for Viber's support. He just told me he has an ongoing case with a woman who came to them saying I got a message from a number saying I won $50,000 in a Viber raffle. I'd like to receive my money, so they informed her that it's obviously a scam. She then responded with basically what? But I need that money. They explained once again that it's a scam and she came back with the old but I'm a single mom. I need that money for my child. Just give me the money. It's yet to be resolved, but if there's any interesting development I'll let you know. Thank you. Next. A few years ago I matched with a woman in her early 20s on Tinder. Unfortunately I don't have the screenshots anymore. Match. Hey. How far are you from city? Me. About 15-20 minutes. Match. Come to this address. Gives me an address. Me. Puts address into Google and sees it a strip club. Me. Why did you send me the address to a strip club? Match. I'm a dancer there. You should come see me, but only if you're going to tip me well. There's too many guys who go and barely tip. Me. In my head I'm thinking I'll tip everyone there except for you with that comment. I appreciate the offer but strip clubs aren't my thing. Thanks though. Match. Unmatches me. Thank you. Next. I had bought 40 pounds of high-end dog food that didn't agree with my dog's stomach, so I posted it to Craigslist for free as long as the person would come to pick it up. I was frequently seeing posts from people asking for free pet food, as they were going through tough financial times, so I figured it would be a nice thing to do. I even offered to throw in the Rubbermaid tub the food was in since I had a few extra. So, after getting texts from the standard 20+ crackpots, a semi-normal person sent me a text. I arranged a time for them to pick up the food and lugged 40 pounds of dog food down 3 flights of stairs. I'm a small woman. They pulled up, looked at the tub, and said, "That isn't a very nice container." I didn't want the food. I wanted the container. They then just drove away. I didn't even get to say anything. Not only did they waste my time and energy, they planned to throw away expensive dog food someone could have actually used. Thank you. Next. This story took place about 7-10 years ago and I will do my best to get this exactly verbatim. We lived on a base and we lived in a neighborhood where a lot of families would get together outside and play when the weather was nice. The kids would run around. The grown-ups would play volleyball that was set up between a couple of the houses. We would also have massive BBQs where everyone would pitch in. We learned what everyone's specialties were and that is pretty much what that person brought. Some people showed no affinity for having a specialty, which meant those people usually just showed up. They became the choosing beggars. CB. We had one neighbor who could make the best marinated steaks. Let's call him Joe. I mean, wow. I often made ribs, but I was really known for my bartending skills. I would make mudslides, margaritas, and other stuff, but everyone wanted margaritas and mudslides. Now, I have a little bit of a passion for making mixed drinks. It's fun. I also really don't like cheap liquor and this fact became an issue. Now, it all depended what we were doing for who would pitch in what. I can say my husband and I had an agreement with Joe and his family. They agreed to purchase our steaks if we covered ribs for them when we made them, but more so I made them drinks during the get-togethers with the good stuff between $100 and $200 per bottle of Patron. I had no problem with that because we all were more than happy with the trade. I loved their steaks and they loved my drinks. Enter choosing beggar. I was making drinks and even though CB did not bring anything to the barbecue, they were still part of the neighborhood and I was more than willing to make them a drink. I welcomed them to come to my kitchen where I had my bar set up for the party. My good liquor was in the cupboard above my head out of sight. Me. CB, what would you like to drink? CB. One of your margaritas. Me. Okay. What kind? The original flavor. Green one. Mango. Strawberry. Or strawberry mango? CB. Strawberry mango. Me. Okay. Blended, right? I asked, but almost everyone wanted them blended. CB. Yes. Me. Do you want sugar on the rim? CB. Yes. I went about making the drink and CB is watching me and is giving me a weird look. Me. What? CB. Why are you using Jose Cuervo? Me. Because that is what I use during large parties. CB. I know you give Joe and his wife drinks with your patron and I think you should make me a drink at least as good as the one you made them. Me. Believe me, your drink will still taste very good. CB, then why did you put patron in theirs? And what kind do you put in your drinks? Me, well, I put patron in mine because I like it, and I put it in theirs because they bought us our steaks. CB, so, you aren't being nice, you are making them pay for it. Me, I guess you could say we trade. CB, so, if I go home and grab some chip dip, then you will have to remake my drink with the good stuff. Me, no, I am sorry, that is not happening. CB, but why? Me, just take your drink and let's go back outside. And I show her back outside. Not 5 minutes later I see her give the drink to her underage son, EK. EK was 17 and was always trying to get everyone to give him drinks. His parents did, but everyone made it clear we are not okay with it, and that under no circumstance should they ever share anything they get from any of us. If they want to give something to their underage child, it is on them and them alone. At this time CB was telling her husband to watch me because she is going to sneak in my house and make a drink with the good stuff. I happen to be standing next to Joe when we hear this and we look at each other. I of course am like hell number. I run across the street as CB is just looking around but clearly heading to my house. As she makes it about 5 feet from my door, I loudly say, CB, what are you doing? CB stops and turns to face me, Joe, my husband, Joe's wife, and a couple others who overheard what was happening by this point. CB had a look like she had her hand caught in a cookie jar. CB, you seemed busy. I spilled my drink, so I was going to go make myself another one. I didn't think you would mind. Joe, yeah, that is not what you said. Me, CB, Joe and I saw you give your drink to EK, who by the way we all know is underage. Then we heard you say you were going into my house to take the good stuff. CB, well, you made me a drink with cheap crap. Me, you are lucky we don't call the police. In my head I was thinking, we have someone underage drinking. The alcohol came from my house, and I didn't want anyone but CB to be in trouble. CB, you are being cheap. We are hanging out and you are picking and choosing who to make good drinks for, like you are up on a pedestal determining who deserves something good. Me, CB, if you want to chip in and supply a bottle, I will be happy to make you a drink with it. CB, you are the one who buys the bottles to share, not me. Me, exactly, and now don't ask me to ever make you a drink ever again. Others chime in that unless CB starts bringing something equal to the BBQs, then she and her family can stop attending. CB, this is a public street, I can come if I want to. Me, yes, but it does not mean we have to share with you. CB, also, if I ever see EK drinking alcohol again in my yard, I will call the police, and if I ever see you in my yard, I will call the police. It is our choice who we share with and how we share. It is not your right to just go take anything. If you try again, I will press charges for stealing. TLDR, had neighborhood parties and CB thought they could attend, participate, but not give as everyone else. CB took a free drink, found it inferior because it did not have top shelf liquor, gave it to her underage son, and planned to go steal the top shelf liquor from my kitchen but was stopped. Thank you. Next. This story happened in 2011, when I was 14. I went out to lunch with 2 of my friends at a local restaurant. It was the kind of place that was really casual, but still a sit-down restaurant. It was one of our first times eating out without our parents, but we all knew restaurant etiquette. The actual meal was uneventful, but things took a dramatic turn when we started to pay the bill and tip. None of us had debit cards yet, so we were paying in cash. We all put cash down for the bill, and after the waitress came back with our change, we began pooling the rest of our money to leave a 20% tip. After paying the main bill in cash, one of my friends and I only had coins left. I had around $4 in change, and my friend probably had around the same amount. My other friend still had enough in paper money to cover the entire 20% tip, so she was going to take our coins and leave bills instead. Simple enough. Well, my friend and I began counting out our change at the table to make sure we were all contributing the right amount. Suddenly the waitress sees what we're doing and comes over to our table. At this point my other friend hadn't gotten her cash out since we weren't ready to leave, so there were only coins on the table. The waitress starts screaming at us about how she didn't want to tip all in coins and that it was very disrespectful for us to be leaving that as a tip. We tried to explain that we would be tipping in bills. We were just counting out how many coins we needed to give our other friend first. She wouldn't listen to us or let us speak, and just kept screaming. She actually said that getting no tip at all would be better than getting a tip all in coins, then kicked us, and our coins, out of the restaurant before we even knew what was happening. She kicked us out of the restaurant so fast we didn't get a chance to leave our final tip. She actually made us take our coins with us, so she ended up with nothing. I get how annoying it is to have several dollars worth of coins on you, but she didn't even listen to us or let us finish getting our money together. Looking back, I wonder if she thought that as young teenagers we didn't know how to tip and were going to shortchange her. That wasn't true. There were also no issues during the meal. We weren't loud, messy, or disruptive. But still, if she had just waited for us to finish or calmly asked us about the coins, none of this would have happened and we could have left our tip as we planned. Thank you. Next. Updated. Please note I was young when this happened and I had learned not to get walked on or allow this type of behavior. This story happened many years ago. While we were in the military we moved frequently, and at one base in particular we lived in condo style houses. Lines of homes that have one or two walls that are connected to each other. I mention the type of house because it shows how close we were to our neighbors. We did have our own driveways, but they were for single cars and were right next to our neighbors. This base was in a warm location where we should have had air conditioning, but we did not. We were enlisted and lived in older houses, and only newer enlisted or officer housing had AC. The reason I mentioned this is because I would leave my front door open and have just the screen door closed so we could get crosswind to cool the house. This should have not been a big deal, right? Wrong. Our neighbor that was connected to our left liked to come over and borrow things. Our neighbor, or choosing beggar will be referred to as CB moving forward, would come over, and at the beginning she would knock and she would ask for things such as a cup of sugar or milk. Then as time progressed CB would knock and just walk in, and at this point she still asked for stuff. To be honest, this didn't really bother me too bad because it wasn't a frequent, and then all of a sudden it changed and CB stopped knocking altogether and began just walking in. I did say something keeping it light in hopes that it would work. I knew we were going to be neighbors for a while and it could be bad to have a bad relationship between neighbors. Back then I had a lot of anxiety about having negative interactions with people. Then CB became pregnant and her entitlement all of a sudden knew no bounds. CB would not only walk into my house, she would go into my fridge or freezer and grab whatever she wanted. This one time I was making dinner and she walked over, smelled it, grabbed a plate and served herself. I said something to the effect of, "I am making that for my husband," and CB responded that she is only talking a little and there will be plenty for him. That was it. I was mad. After that I tried locking my screen door, but the cheap lock wouldn't hold. CB was able to pull the door open and eventually snapped the lock off. I finally said screw it and started shutting my actual door, which sucked because it was hot and no AC, but it was better than dealing with her every day. I thought that would work, but she started going through our back door and coming through our screen door. Oh, did I mention her husband was like 3 ranks higher than mine was, and she was seriously taking from us when they could afford way more. Anyway, this went on while CB was pregnant. Finally, after CB had had her baby, CB started asking for even more. She wanted my husband to come kill bugs when her husband wasn't home. She asked me to do things she could easily do for herself, like go to the grocery store. The final straw was she woke me up at 2 AM saying so cold and mumbling. I seriously thought something was wrong with her baby. I got up, woke my husband up, let him know, and ran over to her house, and I do mean ran. I ran into her house. Door was unlocked, and CB was laying on the couch. She wasn't feeling good. She wanted me to get her a blanket from her upstairs closet. I finally lost my shit and told her I thought something was wrong her baby. I was over it. I told her, CB, you are not to walk into our house without permission, and you are not to ask my husband for anything anymore. The only way it is ever okay to call me in the middle of the night ever again is because you need 911. CB just looked at me and said something about, since I am here can't I get the blanket, and that I am being a horrible neighbor. I walked out of the house, went home and went to bed. Moving forward, CB scowled at me every time she saw me and pointed at me and talked about me to her husband and other neighbors, who told me later CB's husband got orders and they finally moved. I was so happy because she made it uncomfortable being at my own home until she did. TLDR. CB neighbor would come into my house without permission and take whatever she wanted. Finally, she called me at 2 AM to get her a blanket. This was the final straw. Thank you. Next. This is old but still bugs me. I was shopping for a ski jacket at an NYC shop when in walks a TV celebrity. I think she was on the Today Show. She's getting ready to report from the Winter Olympics and needs a jacket. She finds one she wants and asks to see the manager. She then proceeds to ask for the jacket for free, since she will be on TV, and they will get exposure. Well, the shop tells her that they aren't the manufacturer, and the exposure won't help them, so she ends up leaving without it. She makes millions, but wouldn't pay for her own jacket.